So, look, Facebook would say we're only changing the percentage of news in the feed from 5 to 4%. How big a difference is that really for a publisher like you?
Well, it can be, for us, over the last year, we've seen our Facebook referral traffic go down by 60%. So this has been a long time coming. sfchronicle.com is monetized through subscriptions, so we don't really try to get a huge amount of traffic. We're really going after our subscribers. But what I'm really worried about are smaller publishers and TV stations. I heard from a TV station recently that said a majority of their traffic to their website had been coming from Facebook. You think about that, you think about your small neighborhood blogger that relies entirely on that kind of advertising from traffic, and then you've got a real problem.
You talk about how, being beholden to Facebook for any publication has been like a roller coaster over the last several years. It's like when they say jump, you say how high. What are you really so upset about here?
I mean, I'm upset about two things. The first is the capricious nature by which Facebook, in my opinion, is taking their responsibility to provide news. They grew this company by going after publishers and saying, put your stuff here, teaching us how to do it, trying to get people to spend more time on Facebook. Then they served 140 million Americans fake news during the election cycle, and now it's, this news thing is too hard, we're going to give up. But they've already changed how Americans consume news online, and I think they have a responsibility for that.
Now, Max, Facebook is trying to help fake news, the fake news problem, by doing this. What is the optimistic view on here for Facebook?
So if they get this right, the optimistic view is they're able to cut out from that, going from 5 to 4%, you're able to cut out all the bad stuff. So maybe the Russian propaganda, the news sites that are relying on sort of dubious sourcing or just, making stuff up. But I think to Audrey's point, the problem here is that Facebook's interests are not really aligned with the interests of publishers. Publishers care about their brand. That is, they want readers to know who they are. And as far as Facebook is concerned, no matter what the algorithm is, no matter what Mark Zuckerberg says, what Facebook wants is for people to get information from Facebook, for them to not think about brand as much as thinking about, here's this thing that all my friends are telling me, links to interesting things. So that kind of runs counter to everything that normal media companies have done for pretty much the history of business.
Meantime, Facebook is also apologizing for certain things. This from Facebook earlier in a blog post. From the Arab Spring to robust elections around the globe, social media seemed like a positive. The last U.S. presidential campaign changed that with foreign interference that Facebook should have been quicker to identify, to the rise of fake news and echo chambers. I mean, they're admitting that Facebook can hurt democracy in some cases. Is that enough for you?
No, well, it would be a start if they were doing something about it, but this change is actually going to make things so much worse, and it's bizarre to me that they don't seem to get that or that they're obfuscating it. Look, there are people who signed up to follow the San Francisco Chronicle on Facebook. They opted in to us sending them news. Now what Facebook is saying is, no matter what you wanted, we think it's bad for you, the news makes you cranky, and we're going to suppress it. So they're taking away the option for these users who wanted to get their news that way.
Max, what's your response to that? I mean, because Facebook's argument would be, this could help some publications, if you will.
Yeah, I think that the cynical read on it is that basically for a long time Facebook has had this problem where people are not sharing as much. Facebook wants you not just to consume Facebook passively, but to share stuff. That's part of what makes Facebook valuable both to advertisers and to its network. So one sort of cynical take on this would be Facebook is sort of doing something that's actually good for its business and kind of painting it as if it's doing something good for the world. Like, this is something that Facebook might have done independent of this whole conversation about fake news and Facebook's place in the world. And the other sort of thing here that we need to think about is just that Facebook kind of keeps correcting itself. So Mark Zuckerberg at the beginning of the year sort of resolved to sort of figure out Facebook's place in the world, to make sure time spent on Facebook is well spent. But he sort of did that last year, and the company has really struggled to figure out how to police this stuff. And I don't know that it's clear to anybody inside of Facebook and certainly not outside of Facebook how they can do this, how they can balance both the sort of social needs with the needs of their business. The stock has continued to perform well after like a little dip immediately after Mark Zuckerberg said that users would be spending a little less time on the platform. So investors think this is good for business. The question is, what does it mean for the world?
On the one hand, there's concern, or perhaps Facebook is concerned people aren't sharing enough. On the other, there's all of this talk about Facebook being more addictive than ever. You have Roger McNamee on this long march about the addiction problem. You have Mark Benioff, Audrey, the CEO of Salesforce, saying Facebook should be compared to cigarettes and regulated like big tobacco.
Yeah, I'm starting to agree with Mark Benioff on this side. Look, there's a reason why there's so much cat videos and fake news on the internet, because that's what people like to share. That's the addictive stuff. When you take away the actual news from actual publishers, this is only going to get worse. The echo chamber is going to get worse. The fake news problem is going to get worse. I really don't see where Facebook thinks that there's a win in this.
What do you make of Murdoch saying Facebook should pay publishers to carry the news?
I mean, I'm not going to turn down a free check. That's certainly the case. But look, we're trying to get news to people where they're at, and people were on Facebook. That only makes sense. And we have a responsibility to help monetize our businesses in a different way too. But when you're constantly and capriciously changing the algorithm based on whatever whim you have, then we're just what do you expect us to do at that point?